Hello, esteemed gentlemen. When a lion stays silent, it's not because he's weak. It's because he's calculating where to bite. Now pause. Because what you're about to discover isn't about the typical male who throws tantrums when triggered. This is about the Sigma male, the man who hears your insult, smiles slightly, and leaves your ego to implode in the silence. Here's a fact. According to psychology studies, the most mentally dangerous individuals are the ones who feel nothing when provoked. Not rage, not hurt, just observation. So when you insult a Sigma male, you don't start a war. You activate a chess game where you're already 6 moves behind, and don't even know it. He won't raise his voice, he won't argue. He'll just do things that'll make you regret ever speaking his name. And oh, if you think his silence means he didn't notice what you said, that's cute. Welcome to 12 Things a Sigma Male Will Do When Insulted. And trust me, it's not the reaction you expect. It's the one that haunts your self-esteem from the shadows. Let's begin. Number 1. He measures your insult by the level of your significance. When someone throws an insult at a Sigma male, his first instinct isn't to get offended, it's to calculate who it came from. He doesn't treat all words equally, because he doesn't treat all people equally. Your insult only matters if you matter in his world, and most people don't. If you're irrelevant to him, just noise in the background of life, your insult lands with the same weight as a fly buzzing past his ear. Mildly annoying, maybe, but not worth chasing. He won't waste energy proving himself to someone whose opinion has zero value in his mental economy. In fact, your insult becomes a reminder of just how unimportant you are to him. He'll walk past it the same way he walks past meaningless gossip or cheap drama. It doesn't stick because you don't. But if you do hold some kind of weight, if you're someone with influence, authority, or emotional proximity, that changes the game. He still won't react outwardly, but now he's watching, closely. He's analyzing why you said it, when you said it, and what you were really trying to trigger. To the Sigma, your insult becomes intel, a window into your mindset, your insecurities, your angle. He's storing that information, not because he's hurt, but because he's now calculating the dynamic between you. He sees the crack in the relationship, and depending on how deep it is, he'll either correct it or cut it. What's brilliant and borderline terrifying is that either way, he comes out ahead. If you're insignificant, you just exposed yourself and got quietly dismissed. If you're significant, you just revealed your true face, and gave him the upper hand in the process. He now knows more about you than you intended to show. That's the Sigma advantage. He doesn't react emotionally, he reacts tactically. Your insult becomes a test of your own value, and the way he handles it depends entirely on how much you actually matter in his world. Spoiler, most people don't, and those who do just lost a point on their scoreboard. Number 2, he upgrades his filters, and you just got blocked by evolution. When a Sigma male gets insulted, something fascinating happens, not just emotionally, but psychologically. He doesn't shout back. He doesn't go into defense mode. Instead, he rewrites his inner algorithm, and you get cut out of it instantly and without warning. It's not revenge. It's not petty. It's evolution. You've just proven you're not someone who deserves access to his space, energy, or presence. What most people don't realize is that Sigma males filter people differently. They don't use social rules or emotional loyalty as their compass. They use patterns. One insult, one passive-aggressive jab, or one fake laugh that drips with disrespect. That's all it takes. His mind locks in on the glitch, and when he detects it, his system adapts. You get filtered out like malware in an update. He doesn't need to tell you. He doesn't need to block you publicly. You just start noticing the distance. Longer replies, colder energy, fewer chances to be around him. It feels like nothing is happening, but everything is. That's the terrifying part. He doesn't argue because to him, you're not even a threat. You're just a lesson, something to adjust for. And while others seek closure or drama, he seeks clarity. You insulted him, which tells him one thing. You were never meant to be close in the first place. So the door shuts silently, permanently. He doesn't slam it. He just makes sure you're on the other side of it from now on. This is why dealing with a Sigma male is unlike dealing with anyone else. Most people insult others to get a reaction. With a Sigma, that tactic backfires. Instead of drawing him in, you get erased from the map he lives by. You don't just get ignored. You get forgotten, strategically, surgically, and without the chance to explain yourself. By the time you realize what you've lost, he's already upgraded to a version of himself where your opinion no longer exists. And here's the brutal truth. He thanks you for it, because in his world, every insult is just one more reason to evolve. And you were just the spark he didn't know he needed to become even more untouchable. Number 3, uses the moment to audit his inner circle. When a Sigma male gets insulted, he doesn't just look at the insult. He looks at how it even got to him in the first place. And that triggers something far deeper than anger. It triggers an audit. Because to him, if someone had the access, the comfort, or the boldness to take a shot at him, that means someone got too close who shouldn't have. And that's not just disrespect, that's a breach. Sigma males are extremely selective about who they allow into their space. Their inner circle is tight, intentional, and guarded. So when someone slips through and throws shade, he doesn't just react to the insult, he questions his own filters. How did this person get here? Who let their energy pass the gates? What did I overlook? And just like that, he goes into cleanup mode. Quietly. Precisely. People start getting evaluated. Conversations are replayed. Trust levels get downgraded. He doesn't lash out, he studies. You won't know it's happening, but he's watching everyone. Who laughed too hard at that jab? Who stood silent when they could have checked it? Who's been too comfortable lately without bringing any value? It becomes a moment of silent reckoning. You insulted him, but now a dozen people around him are under review, not just for what they did, but for what they allowed. His boundaries get tighter, his standards get sharper. And people who once had access start noticing the slow fade, the colder energy, the vanishing opportunities. That's not random. That's the Sigma cleaning house. He doesn't need drama to do it. He just upgrades his criteria and lets gravity do the rest. People fall off naturally. The insult didn't just affect the relationship with you, it caused him to scan his entire circle for weak links, liabilities, or parasites riding off his quiet power. That's the hidden cost of crossing a Sigma male. You don't just lose him, you trigger a total systems check. And once he sees the flaw, he won't just fix it. He'll make sure it never happens again. Number 4. He watches your reaction to his non-reaction. When you insult a Sigma male and he doesn't react, most people think nothing happened. But that silence is not blank space. It's a mirror. And while you're waiting for him to explode, defend himself, or fire back, he's doing something far more unsettling. He's watching you. He knows exactly what silence does to insecure people. It rattles them. It exposes their real motives. When someone throws an insult, they're often looking for a response, anger, defense, drama, anything that confirms they struck a nerve. But when they get nothing, just a calm stare or quiet detachment, that silence feels like punishment. It turns the room cold. And that's when the Sigma starts observing. He watches your eyes, your posture, your voice. Do you double down? Do you backtrack? Do you start explaining the insult like it was just a joke? Every movement you make becomes data. And while you're wondering why he didn't react, he's already profiling you. Your panic reveals your guilt. Your awkward silence tells him everything your words couldn't. The Sigma doesn't need to defend his ego because his ego isn't fragile. His power comes from being emotionally unshakable. So when you try to shake him and nothing happens, you become the one on trial. Not with questions, not with accusations, but with silence that disarms. Silence that forces you to feel your own insecurity bouncing off the walls. And here's the brutal truth. By doing absolutely nothing, he shifts the entire power dynamic in the room. You came in trying to dominate with words, and now you're the one squirming. You're the one uncertain. You're the one exposed. All because the person you tried to provoke didn't play your game. The Sigma male knows that silence is not weakness, it's control. And watching someone fall apart under the weight of their own insult tells him everything he needs to know. He didn't react because he didn't need to. You gave him all the information with your panic. Number 5. He turns your attempt at humiliation into a mirror. When you try to humiliate a Sigma male, you expect him to crumble, react, or at least show some kind of emotional crack. But instead, he does something much colder. He holds up a mirror, not a literal one, but a psychological one. He reflects your insult back at you without saying a word. No defense, no debate. Just pure detachment that leaves your words hanging in the air, exposed and awkward. He knows that insults often reveal more about the person throwing them than the one receiving them. So he lets your words sit there, raw and unchallenged, until they start to sound ridiculous, even to you. He won't give you a dramatic comeback. He won't argue to save face. Why would he? He sees your attempt at humiliation for what it truly is, a loud broadcast of your own insecurities. And here's the part most people don't expect. The Sigma doesn't need to win the moment. He lets time do the work. Because eventually, the awkward silence that follows your insult starts to echo. You'll think about what you said. You'll realize it didn't land. You might even start questioning why you said it. That's the mirror effect. You were trying to expose him, but now you feel exposed yourself. That's what makes the Sigma so unsettling to deal with. He doesn't retaliate, he observes. And in that cold silence, people are forced to confront their own intentions. You expected a fight, but got a reflection, and that's far worse because it turns the spotlight away from him and directly onto you. What makes it powerful is how calm he stays through it all. He doesn't need to defend his worth. Your words don't shake his foundation. They bounce off it. And when you realize your attempt to bring him down only made you look smaller, it stings more than any insult ever could. That's the danger of insulting a Sigma. You don't hurt him. You reveal yourself. And he doesn't even have to lift a finger for that truth to hit you like a slap. Number 6, he deactivates emotion like a switch, mid-insult. When most people get insulted, their emotions flare up automatically. You see it in their face, their posture, their voice, the ego takes over, and suddenly the insult becomes a full-blown confrontation. But the Sigma male? He's wired differently. The moment he senses disrespect, he doesn't flare up, he shuts down. Not in a weak or passive way, but in a cold, calculated, and intentional way. It's like watching someone flip off a light switch in the middle of a fire. His expression goes still. His breathing stays steady. His heart rate barely moves. He doesn't raise his voice, clench his fists, or show even a hint of emotional tension. And that's what makes it so unsettling. Because in that silence, in that eerie calm, something much stronger is taking place. Control. Full, disciplined, ice-cold emotional control. The Sigma doesn't allow you to pull him into chaos. He doesn't give you the satisfaction of seeing him shaken or provoked. His calm is not confusion, it's strategy. While most people are reacting out of pride or hurt, he is evaluating, watching, calculating. And while the person insulting him is caught up in their own adrenaline, he is already 3 steps ahead, deciding what this moment really means and what to do next. What throws people off is how unnatural it feels. You expect some kind of pushback. You expect fire. Instead, you get silence and that unreadable look. That calm makes even the boldest person second-guess what they just said. Because if someone doesn't respond the way you expect, it messes with your control of the situation. The Sigma's ability to deactivate emotion isn't emotional detachment. It's emotional dominance. He doesn't pretend to be unaffected. He actually is. Because to him, control is more powerful than reaction. And when you throw fire at someone and they don't burn, you start wondering whether you ever had any fire to begin with. Number 7. He logs the insult into his unspoken justice file. When someone insults a Sigma male, they often walk away thinking he let it slide, that he didn't care, that they got away with it. But what they don't realize is that while he said nothing, he logged everything. Every word, every tone, every smirk. It's all stored silently in a mental file he keeps under lock and key. He won't bring it up. He won't warn you. He just adds it to what you might call his unspoken justice file. The Sigma doesn't waste energy chasing revenge. That's for people who need closure or validation. He prefers to let time and consequence do the heavy lifting. But don't confuse his silence with forgiveness. He hasn't forgotten, he just refuses to operate on your level. He's patient, detached, focused. While you're busy thinking he's moved on, he's already calculated what that insult says about your character, and exactly where your path is likely to lead. He knows something others often miss. People who insult out of arrogance, insecurity, or jealousy eventually self-destruct. It's only a matter of time, so he doesn't need to fight you. He doesn't need to tear you down. He just watches. And when that downfall comes, and it always does, he won't be around to gloat. He'll just know. And you'll feel that knowing, even if you never see his face again. By then, you won't have access to him. You'll be locked out of his world, downgraded in silence. He won't throw dirt on your name or tell people what you did. That's too small for him. Instead, he lets your own behavior do the exposing. He's already moved on, evolved, leveled up. And you're still living in the echo of a moment you thought he didn't notice. That's the power of a Sigma male. He doesn't seek revenge. He observes justice. And when it arrives, it's not loud, messy, or dramatic. It's clean. It's silent. And it happens from a distance so far above you, you'll never reach it. Because the moment you insulted him, you lost the right to be anywhere near where he was going. Number 8. He treats the insult like a puzzle, not a punch. When a Sigma male gets insulted, he doesn't take it the way most people do. He doesn't feel attacked. He doesn't see it as a blow to his ego. He sees it as a puzzle, something to study, break down, and decode. The insult to him is not an emotional wound. It's information, and instead of reacting with offense, he steps back and starts analyzing. He wants to know why you said what you said, not just on the surface but underneath it. What triggered you? What are you trying to project? What part of you needed to throw that insult in the first place? He sees your words not as power, but as a slip, an accidental reveal of your internal struggle. Maybe you're jealous, maybe you feel small around him, maybe his silence makes you insecure. Whatever it is, your insult becomes a clue, and the Sigma male collects clues, while others get stuck on, how could they say that about me? The Sigma is thinking, what does this reveal about them? That's the real shift. He doesn't center your insult around himself, he centers it around you. Because in his mind, the only reason to attack someone who isn't attacking you is weakness, insecurity, projection. You're trying to transfer your instability onto him, and he sees it instantly. He doesn't get defensive because he's not confused. He knows who he is. That means your words don't rewrite his identity. They only expose yours. The insult becomes a mirror, and he lets it reflect your state of mind, not his. To most people, an insult is a wound. To the Sigma, it's a leak in your armor, and while you think you've struck something, he's already using your words to profile your character, assess your threat level, and quietly remove you from any space of influence in his life. He doesn't feel hurt, he feels informed, and that's what makes him dangerous. Because when someone turns your insult into insight, you don't break them, you accidentally give them the upper hand. Number 9. He timestamps the moment and stores it quietly. When you insult a Sigma male, it may look like nothing happened. He doesn't raise an eyebrow, he doesn't flinch, he doesn't give you the reaction you were fishing for. But behind that calm expression, something very specific is happening. He's logging it, mentally, precisely, and permanently. Like a black box recorder on a flight, he stores the moment in full detail. The words, the tone, the setting, your body language, even who was watching. And once it's saved, it's locked away in silence. He doesn't need to clap back in front of an audience. That's not how he operates. He doesn't react in real time because he's not emotional about it. He's strategic. And in his world, timing is everything. Just because he says nothing now doesn't mean he's letting it go. It means he's waiting to see what you do next, what patterns you reveal, what role you're trying to play in his story. And here's what people fail to understand. The Sigma male plays a long game. He doesn't move off emotion, he moves off memory. The insult might seem forgotten, but it's filed under "watch this person" in his mind. And he doesn't need to bring it up to make it count. He just makes small adjustments. He pulls back his trust. He rewires the way he deals with you. Subtle shifts, less access, colder tone, shorter replies. But every once in a while the playback comes. Not as revenge, not as drama, but as results. Maybe you need his help, and he remembers that moment. Maybe your reputation is cracking, and he stays silent while others finally see what he already knew. The Sigma doesn't need to destroy you, he just lets time and truth do the slow, quiet work of justice. And when it finally lands, you'll realize he didn't forget. He just waited. That's the power in how he handles disrespect. It's not forgotten. It's stored. Not to punish you, but to remind himself of exactly who you are and why you no longer belong in the spaces he's building. Number 10. He reduces your value to zero, instantly. When someone insults a Sigma male, they often expect a fight. They expect resistance, a debate, a reaction that proves they got under his skin. But the Sigma doesn't waste that kind of energy. He doesn't argue, he doesn't explain, and he doesn't try to change your opinion. He does something much colder. He reduces your value to zero, instantly. In that exact moment, you are no longer someone worth engaging. Not because he's hurt, but because you've shown him everything he needed to know. The insult revealed your mindset, your level of maturity, and your place in his world, or rather, your lack of place. You may think you've provoked him, but really you've just erased yourself from his radar. The Sigma male doesn't look at you as an enemy. That would require effort and recognition. You're not even that important to him now. You become background noise, something that exists but holds no weight. Like static on a radio, he hears it, but he doesn't stop his life to adjust the dial. He moves forward without looking back. This is what most people find unsettling. You don't get a dramatic exit. You don't get closure. You don't even get noticed. 1 second you had access to him and the next you don't. No warnings, no second chances. You tried to throw shade, but you just dimmed yourself. And when you try to re-enter the conversation, when you try to explain or smooth things over, you'll feel it. He's not there anymore. Not emotionally, not mentally, not energetically. You'll be talking to a version of him that's already moved on. That door is closed. Sigma males don't argue with echoes. Once he's seen who you are, he doesn't need to convince you of anything. He doesn't seek revenge and he doesn't hold grudges. He just turns down your volume until you're muted completely. In his world, people who disrespect him don't get punished. They get deleted quietly, completely, and without appeal. Number 11. He studies the weakness that made you lash out. When someone insults a Sigma male, he doesn't focus on the sting. He focuses on the source. Because to him, an insult is not just an attack, it's a leak. It tells him something slipped out of you that you didn't mean to expose, something insecure, something weak, and that's where his attention goes. He's not scanning for offense. He's scanning for the crack in your armor that made you lash out in the first place. Were you feeling insecure? Were you trying to feel powerful by cutting someone down? Were you threatened by his silence or independence? Whatever it was, he picks up on it fast, faster than you even realize you exposed it. The Sigma male operates like a strategist, not a reactor. So while you're trying to jab him with words, he's dissecting your behavior with clinical precision. He doesn't respond with anger. He responds with insight. That insult tells him exactly where you're vulnerable, where you're defensive, and what part of your identity is built on shaky ground. He won't use that information right away. He may never use it at all. But if the day comes when he needs to defend himself, protect his territory, or outmaneuver you, he already knows exactly where to hit. And he'll do it with zero emotion. Just a clean, exact move that cuts straight to your exposed weakness. This is what makes the Sigma so dangerous in silence. He doesn't bark, he doesn't warn, he just studies. He collects moments like this and turns them into understanding. And once he understands what drives your behavior, he's no longer vulnerable to it. You thought you were insulting him, but you were giving him intel. You were handing him a blueprint of your fears and pressure points. He didn't flinch because you never actually hurt him. You simply told on yourself, and now he knows. And if you ever cross a line again, you won't get chaos. You'll get precision, because the Sigma male never attacks without purpose. But when he does, it's surgical. Number 12, he treats disrespect like a virus, and you just got quarantined. When a Sigma male feels disrespected, he doesn't yell, he doesn't argue, he doesn't try to make you understand what you did wrong. He simply treats the disrespect like a virus and acts fast. No hesitation, no explanation, just silent, complete quarantine. You may not even realize it happened until the effects start sinking in. The Sigma sees disrespect as contamination. It pollutes energy, it spreads toxicity, and it compromises the clean, focused world he's built. And because he values peace over popularity, he won't think twice about removing someone, even if they were once close. Once you cross that invisible line, you're out, not later, not after 3 warnings, instantly. And here's the part most people never see coming. There's no drama, no confrontation, no grand exit. You're just gone from his world. The conversations stop. The invitations vanish. The access you once had disappears like it was never there. He doesn't make a scene because he doesn't need to prove anything. In his mind, you showed him who you are, and now you no longer belong in his space. This isn't about holding a grudge. It's about protecting the system. The Sigma male is surgical about his environment. If you show signs of disrespect, he assumes you're capable of more. So instead of sticking around to see how much worse it can get, he cuts it off at the source. For him, that's not cold. That's clarity. What's brutal is how emotionally clean the exile feels. You'll find yourself locked out, but not hated. Forgotten, but not attacked. He doesn't try to punish you. He just removes your presence from his reality. And once you've been quarantined, there's no way back in. Not because he's spiteful, but because once trust is broken, rebuilding it is unnecessary in his eyes. You didn't just offend him. You triggered his internal firewall. And now, to him, you're not an enemy. You're not a threat. You're nothing. You've become irrelevant, not by accident, but by design. When you insult a Sigma male, you're not starting a fight. You're exposing yourself to a kind of silence that unravels everything. He won't bark back. He won't fall apart. He won't play the ego games most people live for. Instead, he studies you, filters you, erases you, or, in rare cases, lets you destroy yourself with your own noise. Every insult becomes fuel, data, or proof that you don't belong in his world. And once he sees that, you're done. Not with drama, but with distance. You don't get closure. You get cut off from relevance. And by the time you realize what he's done, the door has already closed behind you, quietly, permanently, and without announcement. The Sigma male doesn't react. He evolves. He doesn't defend. He upgrades. And he doesn't seek revenge because your downfall was always built into your behavior. All he had to do was wait. So next time someone underestimates the silence of a Sigma, they might want to remember this. He doesn't fight noise. He simply becomes the silence that swallows it whole. If this spoke to you on a level most content never reaches, don't just scroll past. Make it count. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another drop of raw, unapologetic Sigma energy. Like this video if you value power over noise, silence over drama. Comment below, tell us which point hit the hardest, or share how you handle disrespect the Sigma way. Share this with someone who needs to understand the quiet force of a Sigma male. This isn't just content. It's a mindset shift. And trust me, you're going to want to be here for what's coming next.